Hello everyone and welcome back to Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age. So, I'm here at the South Bank Village. You know, you're wondering why, but it's because I was actually grinding some item drops from the XIIs. Because, no, not you. If we sell them to, well, anyone, I just realized we were actually very, very close to something. Something that I kind of wanted to get. With all of the vials of green liquid that we got, and yes, I chained wolves, in the Barheim Passage, and I think the other thing that we need is dark stones, which we got a ton of those from skeletons, and a couple of fish scales. From the bazaar, we can get Marksman's Delight, which contains 1 capella and 1 pouch of a special shot imbued with silencing magics. This is the silent shot that was talked about in the, and also off-screen I sold some other loot and I got access to the high potion pack, so I may as well grab that before we head out, in the Dustier. And actually, not that long. I think the ferry starts running, not really soon, but kind of soon. Now, is the Capella, like, 1 lower than the Vega? Yeah, it's worse, but I can still equip the Silent Shot, which is not only stronger than the current shot, but it does at least give silence. The actual main reason I was going for this is because there's a different bizarre, gun package that contains Water Elemental Shot, which I kind of want going into the next area. But it requires the drop from an enemy that we, well, don't have access to yet. But we will have access to this enemy soon. I'm in the Giza Plains now, and that's because there's a certain enemy around here. There it is. Okay, the wild snake. This thing, I believe, only shows up during the dry season, and the next time during the story, like, I actually think that after the story events that are about to occur, the Giza Plains go to being the wet season, so this might be my last chance to go after this for a little while. And the reason why I want to do this is in fact the only wild snake in the game. And there we go, we already stole the snake skin. Its drop, the snake skin, which you can get from either killing or stealing from it, is necessary for making the strongest weapon in the game in the bazaar. Some of its other ingredients require beating super bosses though, so I doubt we'll really be seeing that anytime soon. It's one of those weapons that by the time you actually get it, you really have exhausted everything you could possibly do in the game. But the snake skin is one of its ingredients, and that is the only enemy in the game that drops it, so I just wanted to make sure to show that before the Giza Plains goes to being the rainy season. It will go back to being the dry season eventually, but this is our last chance to explore the Giza Plains during the dry for a little bit, and speaking of which, I had a really stupid idea. This will be our last chance to fight these for a little bit. They're level 19, we're like 15-ish, but we do have wind, which is their weakness, and Penelo has healing and some debuffs. Oh boy, this could end very badly, but I kind of just want to try at least. I hope Ash is targeting the right one. I kind of doubt we can take on 2 at once, though. Yeah, whoa, okay. Wow, that arrow did a lot. Except one of them's now going directly for Ash. Holy, whoa, okay then. And I mean, I'm not too worried about Ash's MP, because she's got a lot, but wow, okay, Ash is pretty strong as a spellcaster. Also, this is a good shot right there. But what I was gonna say is, yeah, it's using Bacchus's wine. That inflicts berserk on yourself. These things must have terrible magic defense, or like either that or Ash is just that good. Holy crap, I was expecting these things to kind of slaughter us, but they're worth a lot of experience, and 2 LP each is not bad LP-wise either. I do have a ton of license points. I will be waiting a little bit to spend those, I think. Honestly, you know, maybe I could spend those now. Yeah, right now Ash is just on the standard Black Mage weakness exploiting setup. We could go to the Westersand from here, but I want to go back to town and buy the map before we head out. Also, I just realized Penelo didn't even have gambits on, so Ash took on those werewolves pretty much by herself. Let's grab a map of the Westersand. I'll check it out once we're actually there. And now it's time to finally head into the Dalmasca Westersand for real this time. So let's check out the map here. We've got an exit that we don't really know about yet. An area that we've already been to before very slightly because of the Geyser Plains. And then also that whole crystal we were there before. Okay, so it looks like we didn't even need to go through the Westersand. We could have actually gone straight to the next area from that gate crystal. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and explore this place. So we're in the Dustier Downs. Now, does that have... Okay, no, we need a few other places. And I should probably, while we're just fighting basic things, I'll put my character's gambits on. I'm using these 3 here because I should probably turn Penello's gambits off for now because I don't want her wasting her MP on a small fry like this. But yeah, using these 3 because they have less, they're lower level than the rest of the party. Where are my words? So, we need to kill 20 wolves in the Dalmasca Westersand in order to... I feel like everything's going slower than usual. Did I accidentally set the battle speed to slow? No, it's still on the same. I guess I'm just used to, you know, being on... guns are quite slow to charge, but I'm just used to being on fast forward mode. But anyway, we need to kill 20 wolves in the Westersand in order for a certain rare game to show up. I wonder if we'll actually be seeing the effects of weather fairly soon, because, well, actually we did already with the Sandstorm, but there are actually adverse effects of weather. I know that, just like in real life, actually, rain makes bows a lot worse. There's also a passive argument called ignore weather and landscape, which I actually think a lot of bosses and marks have. Balthier's still doing pretty solid damage with this gun right now. In the Westersand, I believe there is actually a chest that is a decently easy way to get a diamond armlet early, at least in Zodiac Age, but honestly, I was looking up the diamond armlet a bit more, and it turns out it's not really... I don't know, I don't think it's actually the most useful thing at this point in the game. The main chests that give you really good stuff via the diamond armlet are from a very, very late game area, like one that is far beyond us at this point, so... The diamond armor, I think, is more for later, otherwise you'll just be stockpiling an enormous number of knots of rust. So, which area are we at now? We're in the Core of Sand. Okay, there's a rare game in here, and it's Dustier. So, remember when I was talking about Dustier earlier? The thing that's really good to grind against earlier in the game, and that's what some people do. So, it spawns here if a party member, and it looks like the enemies are a little bit stronger here, so I guess I could even try and get us weakened. If a party member has less than 10% of their, less than 10% max HP remaining. So people like to farm that thing at the start of the game with Varn. Now we're kind of beyond that, because not only do we have better sources of enemies to fight, but also... I think I'm fine not having gambits on Penello right now. But also... The reason why people like to grind Varn earlier in the game is because, not only Balthier and Fran, but also, of course, Penello isn't even attacking things with her gambits right now, so maybe I should actually just set her to attacking. She seems to attack a lot faster than the rest of us. Gust. I don't know if that's Wind Elemental or not. I'm just gonna go and do a quick gambit thing on Penello just to make her actually attack things. So if you grind Varn a lot earlier on in the game, it means that Ash, Penello when she rejoins, as well as Balthier and Fran when they first join in the sewers, they start out at much higher levels. So that's just, you know, something that people do with this game occasionally. I personally am not really a big fan of, like, well, I don't like overgrinding in general. I always like to be roughly on the same level as most of the enemies are, and that's kind of why I don't really want to do too much, like, stuff right now, because, I mean, I suppose it's decently easy to avoid combat in this game. Because I do know that the next, like, major story boss fight, which doesn't come until the end of several long areas, is, like, level 20, so, yeah. I don't want to get too overpowered. It's just, you know, the way I like to play this game. I mean, some people find it fun to try and make themselves as overpowered as possible. There are often different ways to play RPGs like that. I've even seen a video, like, for this game called, like, How OP Can You Get Before the Lusu Mines. I might want to check that out sometime. Getting the status ailment right as it dies. So, at this point, I should also just mention, while we're just doing some random stuff around this area, is that maybe making Penelo a time battle mage wasn't such a great idea, mostly because it seems to be a mainly physical class, and its spells are all buffs and debuffs for the most part, so they're not really affected by a magic stat, which is kind of a waste on Penelo because she has one of the best magic stats in the entire game. I think it's either tied for the highest with Ash or, like, very close. Oh, these things are weak to Earth. Yeah, I don't think there is any Earth magic in this game apart from a certain something that we might... Why was that thing glowing purple? Oh, it's using a... Oh, hang on a second. I think that flying enemy there is pretty strong. I seem to remember a very strong bird enemy from this area. That's a bit of a bad thing to fight. Yeah, it's passive too. That's probably a bad sign. Dive Talon A. Yep, that's beyond us at this point. And you might notice that it actually says flying on it. I don't think any of the bats we fought earlier in the game were flying. But yes, enemies that are flying, I believe, are totally immune to non-ranged weapons. That's where guns are quite useful against them. That's pretty much what the telekinesis technique is actually for. I just kind of want to explore these areas in case there's anything interesting. I'm guessing that the exit here is just going to lead back to the Westersand. Don't think Penelo's leveled up to 15 yet. I guess she's a little behind everyone else. Of course, Fran right now is probably getting low on MP, but there's a gate crystal before the end of this area, so it doesn't really, you know, matter too much. Looks like there's a corner here, but normally I check that for chests, but, you know, the chests are randomized in this game, so there's no guarantee that these kind of chests are gonna have good stuff in them. You know, I wonder if at this point Fran's going to be doing more damage to these things just by using her mace against them. I'm going to actually switch up her gambits. I do like this music, as I mentioned before. It gives you a nice ominous sense of foreboding for the start of the game if you venture into this area too soon. Cutscene? Oh, I think I remember this. Oh, wow, I remember this. Yeah, the map is glitchy. Oh, I remember this now. Oh, yeah, I always used to think this was pretty cool, and a Fierce Sandstorm Ultra Advanced. So, yeah. There are even some places in this game where things are just... I love that effect. Like, the Sandstorm is so dangerous that, like, even your map is just glitched up. You can't really, Now we have an actual sandstorm over here. You can't really see... I'm so sorry, but this is an easy way to get lower our HP. Oh, and we blocked, of course. Wait, Bolthy, don't first aid yourself. Let's just turn off our gambits and get out of here, because I think, is that 10%? It's probably 10%. We flee into the deadly sandstorm area. But yeah, you might have noticed that there's like a shadow of a T-Rex in there. There's something in there that you actually do fight for a side quest later, but we can't get to it. Nah, it's still aggressive. That legitimately scared me, actually. Like, that legitimately jump-scared me. And you know what? Honestly, I'm okay with Bolthier going down, because if I revive him, he'll probably still be on 10% health, so... yeah, the state of the enemies pretty much persists between screens sometimes. So I forgot that thing was still going to be aggressive. Let's leave here, and then I'll come back, and then I'll see if Dustier has... Well, I'll revive Bolthier, then I'll come back and see if Dustier's spawned. I want to find all of the rare game that I can in this area. Is that bird still chasing us? I kind of doubt it at this point, so I guess I can probably afford to Phoenix down Bolthier now. Still, I'm not entirely sure if that's 10% health or not. Oh yeah, he has to be a lot lower than that. He has to be at like 64, but I can probably do that via the basic enemies here. Well, okay. Another jump scare. Yep, I didn't know that it spawned right here. Okay, then. But I guess it must spawn anywhere if somebody has less than 10% health. I mean, that would make sense, although I don't know if that's... I'm just going to quickly check the Dustier's entry on the FF Wiki just to make sure if I'm not horribly wrong about that. So yeah, the thing about this thing is it can be spawned, like... You can access it the moment you first have access to the Westersand, which is very, very early in the game. And it being undead and not having the innate safety effect of a lot of marks means that if I throw a phoenix down at it... Yep, it's dead. Of course, it does like to use dark, but and its dark still hurts quite a lot. Canelo needs to get to healing, I think. But yeah, you can use that for, I didn't even notice how much experience and stuff flashed up on screen there, but why are we missing so much? Please die, stupid cockatrice. There we go, okay. And now we're going to start healing. It's probably at this point better that I just head back to town rather than waste my items, because we're pretty close to the beginning of this area. But yes, that is Dustier. So as long as you have enough money for Phoenix Downs, you can just keep spawning it and then killing it. You've got to be very quick with your Phoenix Down, though, as you can see, because Dark will probably one-shot you at the beginning of the game. And we're back with some other party members, just to give them a little bit more of a showing here. We're in the Midfault. Okay, there's another rare game that spawns here, though this one is just random. It's called Fideliant, and it has a 20% chance of spawning. Unfortunately, with the Sandstorm out, it's going to be a little hard to see if it does spawn. On the other hand, though, I can always just look at the enemies on the radar. And I know we're not in the area that we would have gone into via the plains. And I don't know if our wolf kills are going to Fran, are you going to actually use dark here? No, you don't seem to care about using dark, so I guess I'll have to tell you to do it. But I don't know if our wolf kills reset if, oh, there's another thing here. If we leave the area. I guess now that we're fighting these Urstrixes, something that I could mention about them is, someone in the comments pointed out to me that in the Japanese version, they're actually called owlbears, which is a Dungeons & Dragons, creature. I said earlier that quite a lot of Final Fantasy enemies are rooted in Dungeons & Dragons. The first Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy I, duh, and again, it was named that because they thought it would be their last game, and look how wrong they were! But, the first game was pretty much just a D&D campaign. In fact, some of its enemies had to be changed in the English version because of copyright issues. There's a lot of things that in Japan they can sort of kind of get away with because no one would really try and sue them back then. Okay, now here's one of those situations where you really don't want to use dark. I think gambits will usually ignore passive enemies when it comes to, like, indiscriminately attacking things. But I do know that, like, the first game had an enemy that was actually called Beholder in Japanese, and there are some D&D creatures that are generic enough that they're not trademarked. I mean, obviously things like skeletons and, zombies and stuff like that, but owlbear is something that I feel is very D&D specific, so I kind of, feel like it does sort of make sense that they changed that thing's name. The Beholder, on the other hand, is a creature, like, that's an actual trademark of Dungeons & Dragons, so obviously they have to change that. Though, this game does, I'm jumping the gun on a much later hunt here, but this game does get away with a hunt enemy called Mind Flayer later on, which, I know that, like, the Taldore campaign setting, which is before Critical Role got endorsed by Wizards of the... That right there! That is an entity! I thought we'd be seeing those for the first time in a later area, but I'm gonna have Vanlibra just for demonstration purposes here. Don't try and steal from them. Because as you can see, they're passive. Level 45! This thing is an Earth Elemental, and these things normally are passive. However, if anybody casts magic within a certain radius of them, they go absolutely ballistic. They usually only appear during certain types of extreme weather. So, for example, the Earth entities only spawn during sandstorms. There's like a water entity or a thunder entity that will spawn during rain. If you've played Xenoblade Chronicles, you might notice that the elemental enemies in those games, or the nebulas, behave very similarly. I don't know if it was just like a general thing or not, or if like they were directly inspired by the elementals in this game, because I almost feel like they were, because of how similar they are in terms of both looks and behavior. But anyway, they're incredibly strong. They have very good item drops though that you need to make some of the bizarre loot, and there are ways you can get those drops from side quests rather than having to actually fight the elementals. So that thing has reflect status. I guess while we're in more of a bit more of a chill part here, going through the Westersand and not making like actual like full-on story progress, I can talk about something's about reflect in Final Fantasy. There's a way to get around reflect that works in most games in the series, and that is to cast Reflect on yourself and bounce your own spells off of yourselves. That's because a spell can only ever be reflected once, so if it's reflected once and then... Nope. If it's reflected once, then... I saw the health bar turn to orange. We're getting out of here now. Yep, there's also we all just got silenced. I guess that's an effect of the entity. I don't know if it's still on our tail. We are all in red health. Yeah, it's clearly still on our tail. But yeah, those entities, be very, very careful around them. They just go around casting Protect on various enemies here. I guess they're, like, trying to maintain the ecosystem or something. Oh, wow. Okay, finally! There it is, the Fidelians. Yeah, it spawns around here, and it just has a 20% chance of spawning. And also, it's undead, so, yeet. I think that's the first time I've ever said that in my life, by the way. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, that is actually the first time I've ever said that in my life. But, okay then, let's head over here. We're in the Shimmering Horizons, where I think we actually have another rare game that we can find. If I'm gonna check the wiki here to see if I'm right about that. Yeah, Shimmering Horizons. Lindbergh Wolf. Defeat 20 wolves in the Dalmasca Westersand. And that Fang's attack is kind of new. And Penelo is missing a heck of a lot. And Bolthera has no gambits on. Yeah, what is with her... Oh, actually, I think the Sandstorm must be affecting the crossbow accuracy. I'm not, like, 100% sure on that, but that would be a decent guess as to what's going on here. Yeah, I'm missing this much. It probably is because of the Sandstorm. Arrow is really strong. But it might end up dropping off in usefulness later on. Yes, the annoying situation where there are side areas that aren't really fully connected to the main area that you need to access via different places. But yeah, here's where we would have come from the Giza Plains. At this point, like, if Ash is just going to finish everything, I might as well just turn Gambit off these two and have them just hang back and let her handle everything here. Like that. These things were scary back when we first explored the Giza Plains, but not so much anymore. Dark mode. I'm not really sure what that other exit from here, or where that would lead. I guess we can just, gonna kind of move quickly here, because otherwise I suppose Balthier can have his gambits on. I'm just annoyed at having to watch Penelope miss constantly. Because these things are weak to Earth. Ashe can't really do much because her gambits are currently set on... Yep, that is really bad. That is exceedingly bad. Let's run away from here right now and get into this little disconnected side area. Thankfully, only Balthier got hit by silence there. Oh, okay. What do we got here? Alra Unes. Which, in this game, are like tomato creatures. Yeah, this is the same species that the rogue tomato was at the start of the game. Arrow is also by default AoE, which is kind of nice. I like how Arrow works in... This is just kind of a random thing, but I do like how Arrow works in Kingdom Hearts 3. The fact that it kind of creates a jump point for you. So this area right here may actually be the place where you can easily get a diamond armlet. Actually hit with the crossbow that time. I know it's like on top of some kind of cliff in the Westersands. And you can farm the place for diamond armlets early in the game. I think in Zodiac Age, it's like the earliest you can get the diamond armlet, but like I said, it's probably not really super important at this point in the game. And if we're going to be going through an area that has an elemental prowling around, we should probably, well, probably get our healing out of the way first, but also probably we should turn off our main caster's gambits, or maybe even just switch Barsh into the party so that we don't run the risk of having bad things happen. Having very, very bad things happen. Looks like there are 2 of those birds here. Hang on, it's a very short little gap of land that leads into that other area. I have a feeling that I might suspect where this leads to. I might end up also looking up where the Lindber wolf even appears. It's like a red-looking wolf. Oh! It's in the little disconnected area that you can't get to except from another area, so I'll be right back. Okay, here is that little side area. Oh wow, it's pretty huge too. But its name is only in yellow. It's unfortunately unliberable. But I might actually, in that case, go ahead and switch Ashe back into the party. And set up Penello's Gambit so that she's actually using useful spells rather than just attacking things. I'll go for slow before I go for disable. These things are like wind aligned, so they're gonna not be... That was extremely painful. Maybe if you don't know this thing's weakness, Ashe is not the best idea. Don't know why I have Faux Undead Blizzard. That might have been what went from back from when I was sort of chaining.
At your best.
Wow, this thing is a lot tougher than I expected it would be. Of course, Ashe and Penello's Gambits weren't even on. That's embarrassing. And I should probably restock my Phoenix down soon. And now might be a good time to quickening some things. It's also hasted.
No.
Didn't quite get that in time. Come on, here we go, good. Only 5 that time, because I got kind of unlucky with mischarges towards the end and wasn't prioritizing them earlier on, and we just get Inferno. And it actually killed both of them. Nice. Okay, so that is 3 rare game taken care of for this area. Well, that is a lot of those flying things. They kind of look like big, scary pelicans, just with less of that sort of pelican bill thing. I don't know what you call it. Oh, I think I do know what this is. We're just going to check this out briefly. Very, very briefly. Because there's no way we're ready for this area yet. These are the XII Caverns. If we check our world map, they're all the way over here. The XII Caverns are an entirely optional area. They link a lot invitation to heresy. Yes, that's a nice inviting name for the first place of this area. Spear tongue. Okay, what's that? Oh, it's just a slime. I'm gonna actually go ahead and steal from this first because slime-type enemies usually drop the kind of liquids that are useful, or I can just get a Sagittarius gem, that are useful for getting new ammo at the bazaar. Okay, no Fran, yes Ash, because these things, in general, usually are quite vulnerable to magic over physical. Or, you know, we could just go to sleep and not know its weakness, and let's do that then, just so Ash can actually do stuff with her Gambit setup. Not steal, Libra. But, like, again, I'm not really going to be spending much time in here. Oh, weak to earth. Okay, that's why Ash wasn't doing anything. Yeah, we can probably take these basic things, but the further we go into the caverns, the worse things get. And there is an optional boss in these caverns, and it's one that you can quite easily run into without, like, any warning, I think, as well. It's actually quite a low-tier optional boss, but that's not really saying much. So, we will be back there. I can't really guarantee how soon I'll be doing that thing, but I know that it's one of the earliest of the optional bosses that you can really think about fighting. Like, as far as they go, it's not super terrible, but it's still quite dangerous for this point. And again, I think you actually are capable of running into it without any warning. So obviously you don't want that happening. And also there's an enemy in somewhere in those caverns called the Archaeo Avis, and it got a ridiculous buff in Zodiac Age to the point where it's practically a super boss. Like, it's in the original version, it was still very strong, but not like incredibly, like, not like world-ending tier strong. But in this game, Coffee is still asleep. In this game, yeah, it's definitely, like, I think it's in the 90s, and it's definitely one of the strongest regular enemies in the whole game. So that's another reason why you don't want to go in there until you're absolutely sure that you're ready. But there are a lot of different entrances to the, I used to call them the Zenithian Caverns. Again, that's another, another one of the area names that I pronounced horribly incorrectly when I was younger. But I don't really think there's that much interesting in this part of the Westersand anyway, so I think with that, we're gonna head in here and heal up at the save crystal. That was an interesting expedition. Didn't expect that rare game wolf to be that tough. But we've got 3 more entries into our rare game log. Rare variety of Oversoul. I think it has 2 faces too. We haven't even seen the regular variety of Oversouls yet. An elite Worgen. Okay, we're actually going to be running into that type of enemy, I think, kind of soon. And with that, I think next time I'll spend my ridiculous amount of LP and buy some stuff from the shop here as we prepare to head out to our next destination. So I'll see you all then.